What's up, Design for Purpose fans and finding your purpose fans as well? Welcome to another episode of Finding Your Purpose. And as I always do, I would like to remind you to please like, share, and subscribe. Trying to get my following going up. That way, once I get to 1,000 and above, I can start giving away, the gifts and things that I have planned, all sorts of goodies going. But I need more followers. Um, like I said, I have lots of, you know, things planned, such as, you know, good merchandise coming, um, and certain giveaways, but I'll explain that more once I get the following up. So, thank you to those that do follow. I know a lot of you guys follow, because I'm always showing like what I eat for dinner, sometimes breakfast, lunch, whatever. You guys like to see what I eat. So, thank you for the follow and the views and stuff. I need all that. And thank you for the people that follow for, you know, my book stuff and other things too. You are all greatly appreciated. And with that being said, before we get into the topic today, let me just remind everybody, my LA trip is coming up. It is on the 22nd. So, as I have been reminding you in the past, I still have my GoFundMe up for a little bit. So if you would like to donate to, the cause, you can do so on the GoFundMe, or you can cash at me, which I will leave all the information in the description box below. And with that being said, let's get into today's topic. And the topic is Florida teacher gets fired. Before I say any more, y'all, I'm gonna say it again. I know I've said it in other previous, shows. Florida. Why is it always Florida? Why? I mean, I have family members that live in Florida, but I just don't understand. So, if I have viewers or listeners that live in Florida, please come on, you guys. Y'all got to help me out cuz right now Florida is one of the worst states out of all 50. And I'll explain more as I get into the story why I think they are. Um but let's get into it. So, you have this high school teacher who gets fired, and okay, you're like, okay, you get fired. Well, what did he do? He had his 11th grade and 12th grade students write their obituaries after an active shooting drill. And you're like, well, what the hell? What the hell, man? You know, what's going on? So, excuse me. He had them do the assignment, and if it's a major assignment, after every class, students start talking like, yeah, we did this in such and such class, this and that. So apparently the word was getting around, and by seventh period of that day, he was fired. And okay, now this my first time kind of side. I see both sides because on one end, I see what he was doing, but in that same breath, you have to think about it. Yeah, they're in 11th grade and 12th grade, but you have to think about it. A lot of grown people do not want to discuss writing their obituaries. Hell, we don't even want to discuss death, even though we know it's a part of life, but we do not want to discuss it. Let alone, like, in school, doing it on an assignment. Like, you don't even want to discuss this type of BS with your family. Like, we know we have to because it's a part of life, but no, not in school. Now, however, I don't think he should have been fired because of the simple fact all they had to do, well, one, he shouldn't have been fired because, it's a part of life. Like, obituaries, and it's a part of life. But what I think they could have done was called him in and had him kind of redirect his assignment. Like, for instance, such, okay, have them, instead of writing their obituaries and, you know, reflecting, because he did say he was kind of having them reflect on their, life and stuff like that. Which, okay, I see his point, but to some degree, you're kind of overstepping your boundaries there. That you're sending them into a uncomfortable zone. Because, as I said, a lot of us don't even want to discuss this, but we know we have to. But no, maybe school is not the place where you want to discuss it, even if it is, just a little assignment. But um, I think the school could have had him redirect his assignment instead of an obituary. How about have them write, okay, what would they do, like, if there was an active shooter on campus, how would you find a way to communicate to let people know you're okay? Like, what certain signals would you do? What certain, motions would you make? Things like that. He could have had them do that versus an obituary. I don't think they should have fired him because with him explaining, okay, I see both sides. But if they could have just had him redirect that, like, how would you let your family know you're okay? How would you help with the escape? Things of that manner rather than just flat out fire him. Because he did bring up a good point when he said, how are you supposed to prepare them for life and the things that are really going on. He has a good point because a lot of this stuff, even though we don't like it, a lot of this shit is going on. These mass shootings in schools and everywhere, a lot of it is going on. As I've stated before in past, podcasts, this shit is starting to become the norm. As much as we don't like it, it's starting to become the norm. So you kind of can't blame him for what he was doing. Maybe they could have redirected it, but I do not think he should have been fired. I do not think he should have been fired. And the reason I say I question Florida for their actions is because instead of having him redirect, you fire the man. Now, Florida to me seems like a state that is so far behind, and they don't want to be hit with the truth. And the reason why I say that, this is why I say I would never move to Florida. I can't stand Florida. Florida is the worst out of all 50. Florida is the worst, if not the worst. They are among the top, in my opinion, because I do all kind of research and I watch all kind of shows on TV about things in Florida. Now, again, this is why I question their thought process. The people that are in charge is because Florida is the same state that just passed a bill where anybody can walk around, anybody can have a handgun. Uh, yes, yes, I think people, you do need to have things to protect yourself, but at the same time, we do need to have mental screenings because some people should not be allowed to just have a handgun. There is certain things still, as pepper spray, mace, and all that stuff. There's other ways to protect yourself too. I mean, if you're going to allow that, if you're going to allow everyone to have a handgun in these states, you need to have mental screenings. Okay, that's one thing that just bothers me. The second thing, Florida is one of they're not the only ones, but they're one of the ones who went into depth about cutting out African American studies. And I'm like, really? Why do you want to hide the truth about what's going on in the world? And I found, well, I had already known that they done that, but I found out more because I was with my cousin and we were watching an episode of In the Black. It comes on BET and it talks about, how, you know, African Americans and stuff, how they try to, they're trying to fight to keep, things known, well known out there, and, and other people in other states, whatever, people higher up are just trying to phase them out. And on this episode, they were talking about how in Florida they have banned African American studies, and on there, one of the guys, I think he was in office, and he couldn't come with a legit reason as to why African American studies shouldn't be in school. And you see in a lot of the parents, oh, you're teaching, you're teaching racism, this and that. No, 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 no. African American students, they need to know what they are made from. They need to know what their ancestors face, and hell, what they still face today. It may not be as strong as what our ancestors face, but it's still there. And they talked about like the I can't remember his name, but one of a black host dude was talking to him, and he was asking questions such as like um he asked like about Al Sharpton, and do you think they're making a difference? Well, I don't think they've done anything. But really, have you been paying attention? I mean, a lot of this shit happened like way before I was even born, and you can go back and look at the shit and be like, they were on point. They knew what they were talking about. It's not that they are trying to phase you out. They're just trying to be treated equally, and I don't think it's fair. Like, African Americans have history, so it should be taught. You know, but you would rather sit around and let the lies be okay, like Christopher Columbus found America. No, he did not. No, he did not. One man did that. No, he did not. So, that's just an example of why Florida irritates me, because their way of thinking is behind a lot of other states. It's To me, it's like they worry about the wrong things. They really do. And I could go in more and more, but it's not worth it. I just think, honestly, they worry about the wrong things. Like, instead of firing Mr. Keene, what they could have done was had him redirect his lesson plan. I don't think they had to fire him. And from what I was reading, I think they hired him in what, January? Now, I was looking to see if it was January of last year, or this year. It just said January. But to fire him, to me, is ridiculous. They could have had him redirect his lesson plan. Now, I could see if it was like just a certain group of people, like a certain race of people, or something like that. But he had his 11th graders and 12th graders do that. If you think about it, yeah, they're old enough. They know that death is a part of life. They know. But that's not a subject that you probably want to touch on in school, or at least he should have sent out a notice to the parents like a week before or something, seeing if they were okay with it. Then, and ask the school, ask your boss ahead of time, this is part of my lesson plan, is this okay? Okay, yeah, he probably could have done that, but still, I don't think he done enough to get fired. I really don't. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. And with that being said, we are all designed for a purpose, and therefore we all have a purpose. So if you haven't found your purpose, it's okay. It's there. If you have found it, stand in it. Don't let anybody knock you off. And I love you all. Stay safe out there, and I will catch you next week. Love ya. Out.